It began with a flash in the night sky, a gleam of light that danced above a New Mexico desert in 1947. The Roswell incident equal parts crash, cover-up, and cosmic folklore. It was America's first taste of something off, something unexplainable, and something that wouldn't go away. Within months, the sightings multiplied. Farmers, pilots, police officers, ordinary people pointing at something extraordinary. The Air Force took notice. Or perhaps they already had, and in 1952, under mounting public pressure and Cold War paranoia, they gave it a name, Project Blue Book, a secretive, sprawling investigation into UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Not space invaders, not little green men, just things we couldn't explain. And for decades, the U.S. government listened, watched, and documented over 12,000 sightings. Lights, orbs, discs. Some were weather balloons, some were Venus, but some over 700 remained unexplained. This was no fringe conspiracy, it was paperwork, data, military transcripts, all labeled, filed, hidden. Blue Book wasn't alone. Before it came Project Sign in 1947, then Project Grudge in 1949. Both short-lived, both skeptical, but Blue Book, it had staying power. Operating out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, it became a clearinghouse for American UFO hysteria. The 1950s were rich soil for alien fever, drive-in cinemas, Sputnik in orbit, Cold War tension, humming beneath every conversation, and then a sky's blips, streaks, visitors, or so the reports claimed. The Air Force had the jobs to investigate and to calm because public panic was dangerous. And if enemy nations saw the U.S. chasing flying saucers, well, that sent a different kind of signal. So, Blue Book danced a delicate line, seek the truth, but don't let it spread. They say history repeats itself, but what about the parts we forgot? Welcome to Echoes of History, the channel where we dig up the dusty corners of the past to uncover the weird, the wild, and the wait, what? Stories they didn't teach you in school. Grab your curiosity and maybe a cup of tea, because what you're about to hear might just change how you see the world. Its leader from 1950 to onward was Captain Edward J. Ruppelt. Young. Methodical. He brought a kind of scientific rigor to the chaos. Under Ruppelt, Blue Book cataloged hundreds of sightings, including the now infamous Washington, D.C. UFO incident of 1952. Blips on radar. Jets scrambled. Lights over the Capitol. It made the headlines. It made the world nervous. And it forced the Air Force to speak. They held press conferences. They said, it's nothing, but their files said otherwise. Ruppelt later wrote a book, The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects, and in it, he admitted something chilling. There is a possibility that UFOs are interplanetary. That wasn't a whistleblower. That was the guy in charge. Blue Book continued after Ruppelt left. Its tone changed, more dismissive, more bureaucratic. Sightings became misidentifications. Witnesses became unreliable. By the 1960s, the UFO craze had grown louder. Roswell, Betty, and Barney Hill. Reports of abductions, of missing time, of strange marks, and government men in black. Blue Book felt outmatched, so the Air Force commissioned the Condon Report, a study by scientists at the University of Colorado. Their job: decide once and for all, are UFOs worth studying? The report landed in 1968, and its answer was clear: no. They claimed UFOs had no scientific value, and Project Blue Book was shut down in 1969. Officially, the records were boxed, shelved, case closed. But the sky never closed. Sightings continued. So, but the speculation? If 700 cases remained unexplained, what were they hiding? Was it national security or something stranger? People asked why so many files were redacted, why so many testimonies never made the press, and why pilots trained credible were often ignored. For the government, UFOs were a nuisance. For the public, they were a mystery. And for a small group of believers, they were a message. The sky became a mirror, a place to project our fears, our hopes, our imagination, and Blue Book was the ledger of it all. A curious chapter in modern history, not fiction, not fantasy, but thousands of real people, reporting real things, whether misunderstood or misfiled. The lights were there. Some stories refuse to stay buried. And when it comes to UFOs, the most haunting tales are told by those who swear they saw them. In the files of Project Blue Book are thousands of witness reports, some shaky, some wild, but some unsettlingly credible. Like the night of July 24, 1948, two airline pilots were flying over Alabama. The sky was clear, the stars like dust across velvet. Suddenly, a cigar-shaped craft roared past their cockpit, glowing, fast, and silent. The men described it in detail: metallic, windowed, guided by intelligence. They were seasoned aviators, not prone to fantasy. Blue Book's conclusion: unidentified, or take the 1957 level in Cason, Texas. Multiple drivers reported their engines stalling as a glowing egg-shaped object passed overhead. Lights blinked out, radios went dead, then silence, the craft disappeared. And the cars worked again. Police officers confirmed the reports. The Air Force said it was ball lightning, convenient, but unsatisfying because the patterns kept repeating. Bright objects, interference, vanishings. Witnesses weren't just farmers or loners, they were military personnel, engineers, airline crews. In 1964, Officer Lonnie Zamora was patrolling near Socorro, New Mexico. He saw a flame in the sky, then a strange metallic object on the ground. Two small beings, white-suited, scurried into it. The craft lifted with a roar and vanished. Zamora was rattled. He was no UFO hunter, just a cop. His report was so sincere, it's still considered one of the most reliable encounters ever recorded. Blue Book couldn't explain it, and there were whispers, always whispers, that what Blue Book released was only part of the story, that the real files, the juicy ones, never left secure vaults. Former insiders hinted at classified programs, at aerial threats that couldn't be named, at surveillance beyond what the public knew, and every time a file was redacted, curiosity grew. In 1956, a RAF radar operator named Raymond Bowyer tracked a fast-moving object near Lake and Heth. Jets were scrambled, the object outpaced them, the case was passed to Blue Book. Their conclusion, no threat. But nothing in the report explained the radar contact, it was just dismissed. Was it a flaw in technology, a Soviet experiment, or something else? As more and more cases piled up, Blue Book grew cautious, their reports became less descriptive. The language more clinical, atmospheric anomaly, reflection, stellar misidentification. But behind the scenes, some in the Air Force weren't convinced. A few believed something real was happening, they just didn't know what. And that's where the real mystery lies. Because not knowing is scarier than denial. Why were so many credible witnesses ignored? Why were scientists in the Condon report discouraged from exploring genuine anomalies? Was it skepticism? Or was it strategy? If the public believed UFOs were a joke, there'd be no panic, no pressure to explain, and no spotlight on military secrets. But some didn't let it go. Civilian investigators began organizing. NICAP, APRO, MUFON, groups of passionate researchers digging through Blue Book reports, holding public hearings, pressing for declassification. They wanted truth, not distraction. Many pointed to Case 8673 and others like it unexplained, unresolved. In 1966, a series of sightings in Michigan became national news. Police saw strange lights. People panicked. Blue Book dispatched famed astronomer J. Allen Hynek. He told the press it was swamp gas. The phrase became infamous. Hynek, originally a skeptic, began to shift. He saw patterns, data, something deeper. He later confessed, I was too quick to explain away. Eventually, he became a believer. And he wasn't alone. The more people read the Blue Book files, the less certain they became. Were we visited, watched, or just misunderstanding our own sky after Blue Book shut down? The questions remained. Pilots still made reports. Civilians still stared upward. And the mystery became a mirror of ourselves. Were we seeking aliens? Or seeking answers to our own smallness? The files of Blue Book are public now. Declassified, archived. Anyone can read them. Thousands of pages, some dull, some strange. But the true legacy lies not in the data, it's in the doubt. The kind that lingers like a shadow behind every blinking star, waiting to be understood. In January 1970, Project Blue Book officially shut its doors. The final verdict: no evidence of extraterrestrial vehicles, no threat to national security, case closed. But the silence that followed wasn't peace, it was static. Something in the sky had left a trace. And curiosity doesn't die with the press release. For many, the end of Blue Book wasn't an answer, it was a cover. Especially when sightings didn't stop. Commercial pilots, military observers, even astronauts reported strange phenomena. And Blue Book's absence became louder than its presence ever was. The files gathered dust, but the questions grew teeth. In the decades that followed, whispers returned in waves. In 1980, the Rendlesham Forest incident in England echoed with eerie familiarity. U.S. airmen saw lights, felt heat, touched strange markings on a landed craft like Blue Book. Some said, but this time, off the books. Then came 2004, the USS Nimitz encounter. Navy pilots tracked a TIC-shaped object off the coast of California. It moved erratically, defied physics, vanished at will. Decades after Blue Book closed, the phenomena remained. Only now, it came with radar footage, cockpit videos, audio logs, and more importantly, leaks. In 2017, the New York Times published a bombshell article. The Pentagon had continued studying UFOs under a secret program, AATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, funded quietly, hidden in plain sight. The footage they released was raw, real, grainy objects zipping across screens, followed by stunned pilot voices. Look at that thing. One said, it's rotating. Suddenly, the world was listening again. What Project Blue Book shelved had returned modernized, rebranded in 2020. The U.S. Navy confirmed the videos were authentic, not fake. not dismissed, but also not explained. That year, the Pentagon established a new task force, then renamed it, then restructured it again. As of naming it gave control over it. The government didn't say aliens, they said unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, a neat way to sidestep loaded language. But the old tension remained, the need to know versus the need to manage. Because behind every shiny object in the sky is an invisible question mark. What do we really want to find? Visitors from beyond, or simply validation that we're not imagining things? In 2021, a long-awaited report landed. It reviewed 144 incidents, 143 remained unexplained. But again, no evidence of aliens. Just the unknown for believers. It was a step forward for skeptics, a dodge for historians. A pattern, because since the days of Blue Book, the story hasn't really changed. Mysterious objects, careful language, public curiosity, and behind the curtain, quiet study. There's a strange poetry to it. Humans searching the stars for proof, yet scared of what it might reveal. Some say disclosure is near, that governments will one day admit the truth. Others believe we've been told all we're going to get, that what remains is myth, a kind of modern folklore for a scientific age. But the legacy of Project Blue Book is more than its conclusion. It taught us how to ask, how to doubt without despair, how to explore mystery with rigor, and how to keep wondering, even in the face of silence. In some ways, it was never about aliens. It was about us, our fear of invasion, our hope for connection, our yearning for the extraordinary. Because the sky isn't just a canvas for stars. It's a screen we project our dreams onto. Blue Book ended in 1970. But its story lives on in every radar blip, every unexplained flash, every grainy video uploaded to the internet, every child staring out a window and asking, what was that? Perhaps we'll never get a final answer. Perhaps the truth is scattered like stardust, visible, but unreachable. Or perhaps it's waiting, behind clouds, beyond governments, beyond fear. What began as a Cold War inquiry became a modern myth. Project Blue Book wasn't perfect, but it was sincere in one thing, the belief that the truth, whatever it may be, is worth chasing. Not every file holds revelation, but every page holds a question. And sometimes, questions are the best we have. So, we keep looking up and listening, just in case the stars whisper back. That's it for today's Forgotten Tale. If this story made you raise an eyebrow, or don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that dusty little bell so you never miss another echo from the past. Drop it in the comments. We're always listening for new echoes. Got a weird bit of history you think we should cover? Until next time, keep your curiosity loud and your history weird. That's it for today's Forgotten Tale. If this story made you